Have you ever looked up at the moon and wondered what it would be like to stand on its surface? The Apollo missions turned that dream into reality. This was humanity's bold leap into the unknown, a story of ambition, courage, and the relentless pursuit of the impossible. Settle in. We're about to journey back to an era when the world united behind a single, audacious goal. We'll ride the Saturn V, feel the silence of space, and witness moments that defined a generation. This isn't just history, it's an invitation to experience the awe of the Apollo era. Let's light this candle. Before that leap, we needed a plan, an audacious one. The dream of reaching the moon was not just a technical challenge, but a test of imagination and resolve. It required visionaries, risk-takers, and a nation willing to rally behind a seemingly impossible goal. The Apollo program was born in the heat of the Cold War, answering President Kennedy's 1961 challenge, land a man on the moon and return him safely by decade's end. Kennedy's words ignited a sense of urgency and purpose, transforming space exploration into a symbol of hope and competition. At the time, Americans had barely spent 15 minutes in space. The challenge was immense, the technology was unproven, and the risks were staggering. No one knew if it could truly be done. Apollo was a series of methodical steps. We couldn't just point a rocket at the moon and hope. Every detail had to be considered, every possibility anticipated. Each phase, Earth orbit, translunar injection, lunar orbit descent, had to be invented and perfected. The path to the moon was mapped out in stages, each one more complex than the last. Engineers built the Saturn V, the most powerful rocket ever flown, and designed a command module for the journey and a lunar module for landing. These machines were marvels of innovation, representing the cutting edge of science and engineering. This wasn't just about rockets, it was about creating an entire ecosystem: life support, navigation, suits, heat shields. Every system had to work perfectly because failure meant disaster. Every mission was a rehearsal for the next, each step building confidence and data. Astronauts trained relentlessly, simulating every possible scenario, preparing for the unknown. NASA's philosophy, get it right the first time, space gives no second chances. The pressure was immense and the stakes could not have been higher. The program was a blend of bold ambition and extreme caution, sending fragile humans 250,000 miles from home. Each launch was a leap of faith, a testament to human courage and ingenuity. The world watched as hardware was built, astronauts trained, and the challenge loomed. The excitement was palpable, and the sense of history in the making was felt everywhere. Apollo became a national obsession, mobilizing hundreds of thousands and the full might of American industry. Factories ran day and night, and communities across the country contributed to the effort. The goal was clear, the journey daunting, and the adventure was just beginning. The world held its breath, waiting to see if humanity could truly reach for the stars and touch them. Every great journey has its darkness. Even the most ambitious dreams are shadowed by moments of tragedy and loss. For Apollo, that darkness came before the first flight ever left the ground. The promise of reaching the moon was suddenly threatened before it truly began. On January 27, 1967, astronauts Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee were strapped into Apollo 1 for what was supposed to be a routine pre-launch test. They were pioneers, ready to risk everything for the future of space exploration. The cabin, filled with pure oxygen at high pressure, was a tinderbox waiting for a spark. The environment meant to simulate space was far more dangerous than anyone realized. The crew had warned of flammable materials inside the capsule: wires, Velcro, and nylon netting, raising concerns about safety that went unheeded. Suddenly, a spark, likely from a faulty wire, ignited a fire that spread with terrifying speed. "Fire! I smell fire! Fire in the cockpit!" Their desperate voices echoed through mission control, a chilling reminder of the danger they faced. They struggled with a complex inward-opening hatch that was nearly impossible to open quickly under pressure. The fire spread in seconds. The hatch sealed shut, trapping the crew inside as flames and smoke filled the cabin. By the time rescuers arrived, all 3 astronauts were lost. The fire had claimed their lives in just moments. The tragedy lasted just 17 seconds, but it changed everything. The nation mourned deeply. The Apollo program came to a sudden halt as the world demanded answers. The fire exposed fatal flaws in design and safety, revealing how much more needed to be done to protect the lives of astronauts. An exhaustive investigation led to a complete redesign. A quick-release hatch, fire-resistant materials, and a safer cabin atmosphere became mandatory. Every detail was scrutinized and improved. Apollo 1 became a turning point, a solemn lesson written in loss and courage. NASA recommitted to safety above all else, vowing never to repeat the mistakes that led to the tragedy. The sacrifice of Grissom, White, and Chaffee made every future mission safer. Their legacy lives on in every astronaut who returned home. Their legacy, a program forever marked by both courage and caution, reminds us that progress is built on the lessons of the past and on the bravery of those who dared to lead the way. After the tragic Apollo 1 fire, NASA faced a long road to recovery. Nearly 2 years of intense redesign and rigorous safety improvements followed, as engineers worked tirelessly to ensure such a disaster would never happen again. The entire Apollo program was put under a microscope, with every system re-examined and rebuilt for reliability. Apollo 7 became the crucial test, proving the new command module's safety and performance in Earth orbit. The crew demonstrated that the redesigned systems worked flawlessly, restoring confidence in America's ability to reach the moon. But there was a problem. The lunar module, essential for landing, was still behind schedule. Delays in its construction threatened to stall the entire lunar program. The solution was bold and unprecedented: send Apollo 8 to lunar orbit without a lander. This daring plan would test every aspect of a lunar mission except the landing itself, pushing the boundaries of human spaceflight. In December 1968, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders prepared for a journey no one had ever attempted. They became the first humans to leave Earth's gravity, riding the mighty Saturn V rocket into the vast, unknown void of deep space. For 3 days they traveled through the cold darkness, watching as the blue Earth grew smaller and smaller behind them, until it was just a distant, fragile sphere suspended in the blackness. On Christmas Eve, the spacecraft slipped behind the moon, disappearing from radio contact. For the first time, humans were truly alone, cut off from Earth by 250,000 miles of space and the moon's shadow. The world waited in silence, holding its breath as Mission Control anxiously monitored the clock, hoping for a signal. Then, at last, their voices crackled through the speakers. They had successfully entered lunar orbit. Relief and celebration swept through Mission Control and across the globe. The crew gazed upon the far side of the moon, witnessing a battered, ancient landscape that no human eyes had ever seen before. It was a place of mystery, silent and untouched for billions of years. Then came a moment that would change history forever: Earthrise. As the spacecraft rounded the moon, the blue planet rose above the gray horizon, a breathtaking sight. Bill Anders quickly grabbed a camera and captured the iconic photo of our fragile planet hanging in the darkness above the lunar surface. That image would become one of the most famous photographs ever taken. The image shifted humanity's perspective forever, reminding us all of our shared home and the need to protect it. It inspired awe, wonder, and a sense of unity across the world. That night, the crew broadcast live from lunar orbit, reading from Genesis and wishing hope and peace to everyone on the good Earth. Their words echoed across the planet, bringing comfort and inspiration during a turbulent time. Apollo 8's daring flight paved the way for the moon landings to come, proving that humanity could reach beyond our world and return safely home. With Apollo 8, 9, and 10 complete, the stage was set. July 16, 1969, Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins launched on Apollo 11. The world watched as Saturn V thundered skyward. 4 days later, Armstrong and Aldrin entered the lunar module Eagle, leaving Collins in lunar orbit. The descent was tense, computer alarms blared, and Armstrong saw the computer aiming for a boulder field. With fuel running low, he took manual control, searching for a safe spot. 60 seconds, 30 seconds. Mission Control held its breath. Finally, contact light. Armstrong set Eagle down with less than 30 seconds of fuel left. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Jubilation swept Mission Control and the world. For the first time, humans rested on another world. The goal set by Kennedy was achieved, but the most iconic moment was still to come. The world watched as Neil Armstrong descended the ladder, stepping onto the moon's surface. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Humanity had crossed an impossible frontier. Moments later, Buzz Aldrin joined him. Magnificent desolation. They planted the flag, set up experiments, and collected rocks, representing all humankind. Their time outside lasted just over 2 hours, but the impact was eternal. They returned to Eagle, preparing for the critical ascent. The ascent engine fired perfectly, reuniting them with Collins in lunar orbit. The footprints and experiments remained, a testament to human achievement. After Apollo 11 and 12, moon landings seemed almost routine, until Apollo 13, April 1970. Jim Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Haise launched for the moon. 56 hours in, a routine tank stir triggered an explosion. "Houston, we've had a problem." The command module was dying. The lunar module became their lifeboat. Designed for 2 men for 2 days, it now had to keep 3 alive for 4 days. Engineers on Earth worked non-stop, inventing solutions on the fly. When CO2 levels rose, they famously improvised a mailbox adapter using duct tape and spare parts. The crew endured cold and dehydration, but their ingenuity and teamwork brought them home safely. The world, once complacent, was united in hope and relief. Apollo 13's near disaster reinforced the dangers of space, but the program pressed on. The later J missions, starting with Apollo 15, aimed for longer, more ambitious exploration. Apollo 15 brought the Lunar Rover, a space car that transformed exploration. Astronauts Dave Scott and Jim Irwin drove over 28 kilometers, reaching new scientific sites. They discovered the Genesis Rock, a piece of the moon's primordial crust. The rover expanded their range and time for science, allowing core samples and new experiments. Before leaving, Scott dropped a hammer and feather, demonstrating Galileo's principle: in a vacuum, they fall together. The J missions were Apollo's scientific pinnacle, revealing the moon's ancient secrets. After Apollo 17, the focus shifted from exploration to living in space. Skylab, America's first space station, was built from a converted Saturn V stage. The Apollo command module became a space taxi, ferrying crews to Skylab. The first crew repaired the station after launch damage, saving the program. Crews spent up to 84 days in orbit, studying the effects of long-duration weightlessness. Skylab's experiments advanced solar and Earth science and proved humans could live and work in space. The Apollo capsules performed flawlessly, marking the end of an era with Skylab's final splashdown in 1974. The legacy Apollo hardware enabled our first real home in space, paving the way for the shuttle and ISS. The Apollo program was more than missions. It was a saga of ambition, tragedy, and triumph. From the ashes of Apollo 1 to the footprints on the moon, it changed how we see ourselves. Its legacy is inspiration, proof that when we dream big, we achieve greatness. Every Mars rover, every astronaut today stands on Apollo's shoulders. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you want to keep exploring, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Until next time, keep looking up.